Watch Stephanie. I'm going to be at a weird angle because my tripod's broken and I'm not buying a new device until I'm in Europe next month. This month! Holy cow, it's October. It's October 2nd and I'm going on vacation in a couple of weeks for an entire month. I haven't done that since I backpacked. No, actually, the last time I took a month-long vacation consciously, not just between jobs, and in a relaxedly way, which should be a word, was when I was in Thailand for my 35th birthday, which was a while ago. All right, we're going to move on from that. So we're just going to be just a little tilted. Could I make up for it this way? No, you know what? Technical stuff is part of the deal here. So I wanted to update you. Hi, this is hello, ni hao, wa shu Stephanie. That's the slow motion version of Washa Stephanie, which is wrong. Still wrong. I'm trying. Anyway, update video because I haven't done this in I think about a week now. I actually should look at my show calendar more often. But I have updated my study plan according to a few things. So I'm at the end of my Sensible Chinese course, and I would say I'm sad, but Kyle has a bunch of other courses. He has like a speaking one, he has like specific vocabulary ones, and all kinds of different ones. So once I'm done with the reading book, or once I get the hang of how I'm studying with this and can add something on, then I will go back and take another course from Kyle, because I cannot recommend Sensible Chinese any more than talking about it in like every video for the past month or so. I mean, the way that, which was the course I took, actually. It would be good if I actually told you the exact course. Tell you what, I will put that in the show notes below. That's probably the better way to do it. So I can't recommend it enough because it really walks you through step by step by step. I probably could have taken this course when I first started 4 months ago, but to be honest with you, for me, it was nice for the beginning parts to be more review than new. Like, had the language been completely new, had the characters been completely new, I think for me, because of my history of frustration with language learning and with the characters, the Hanzi characters, I think it would have been demotivating. So for me, it was really good to start with my own exploration for a few months and then go to a logical course. I know that sounds illogical, but that is kind of where it seems to be. So, what is happening here? I'm trying to actually find the name of the thing. I should probably do an entire video just on what I liked and didn't like about that course. Now that I think about it, I will think about that some more. So, yeah. So I'm almost done with that course, and I've noticed, I was listening to what he was saying about the different stages of studying Chinese, and I've been listening and I was taking notes, and I have the diagram of the input and the processing and the reviewing and all this kind of stuff, which makes complete sense, which is how I've been studying via his method in a while, and that's how I realized I was skipping over learning when I switched from Anki to other apps. I was skipping over that. So I realized that his method is really, really good. But I hadn't actually changed my study plan according to it in a really explicit way. And so what I did yesterday is I sat down and I took my list of like very focused tasks, because I need to be non-exploratory for a little while in order to progress a little bit more than I have been. Anyway, so I actually sat down, and in Keep, in Google Keep, I love Google Keep. It's really good. I usually use it for work stuff, but I wanted to put in there, that's going to come up backwards, which sucks. But let me read to you what it says. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items right now. I don't have any listening input in the plan just yet. I need a couple more weeks with this book and with just reading sentences before I reintroduce listening input. And I know that's going to drive some of you crazy, because I do understand that you need all facets of the language in order for it to cement, but right now my motivation is in sentences, and I'm really excited to get to a comfort level with the first lesson and be able to read the first sentence and understand it. So I'm focusing on that, and it's very rare for me to focus on something so tiny. So this is new, but judging from the smile on my face, I think I like it. Okay, so yes, it takes that sometimes for me to realize something. Point is, the 6 things, this is 6 in Chinese, 5, 6, 7 varies depending on where you're from, but I did a whole video on that before. Anyway, point is, I did my list of 6 things depending on the different stages, or according to the different stages that he talked about in the learning process. And I'm actually trying to find the diagram so I can show you. Fuzzies, and this is not going to work. Ah! Okay, I'm going to stop doing that now because I don't edit videos right now because I am video editor-less still. I know, it's horrible. And I start work again this week, or last week actually I started work again. I took some time off for the conference and now I'm back. And yeah, I didn't have time to do any of that. So I guess on vacation I will, maybe there's an online course. If you know a good online course on how to use, what was it? Adobe something was the one, Adobe I'm searching for. I didn't make the note there. Okay. I'm just going to end up doing this video with me looking at my computer. Okay, that's totally ineffective. I split up the 6 things into the different stages that Kyle talked about in learning the language in a very, very skeletal sense. Input, processing, review. That's a very simplified version of it. Input is what it sounds like, putting the information that you want to learn into something. In this case, I'm using Pleco right now, and the reading book. But the reading book's not really input. It's more like I'm putting the vocabulary from the reading book into Pleco. So that's the input stage. But that's not learning, that's just getting it ready. So then the processing stage is going into, for me, number 2. So input for me, input stage. So at the 6 things I have listed, input, 3 new words. So per day, I want to put, no matter where I am in the book, I want to put 3 new words from here into Pleco. Just put them in there. That's just input. It's not processing, it's not learning, it's not thinking about it, it's just input. The second thing of the 6 is processing, taking 3 of those words in the input area, and they are going to be different decks in Pleco in order to do this. So I'll go into input, I'll take out 3 of them, probably from the lesson I'm on, if I'm, unless I get ahead, whatever. I'll take 3 of them from the input and I'll process them and put them over into the deck for review later. So by processing, I'm doing what I mentioned before, the learning part, where I'm going into Pleco, I'm going into the different parts, I'm decomposing it, looking at the characters in that word. I'm looking, is there a sound component? Is there a meaning component? How do I say it? What is the tone? So there's the opinion and the tones. And then there's the meaning, and looking at sentences that it's in, and kind of just exploring and trying to think of a mnemonic, like what sticks out to me about this word? Visually, what will help me remember that this means this? That kind of thing. So it's spending that time with the character that I forgot for a few months there. Yes, a few months, I did that. But you gotta make mistakes. That's what you do. So there's that. So spending the time to process those 3 words a day. I have not been doing this regularly. I was doing more of dumps of 30 words a day, like inputting them in and then reviewing them, and occasionally when I had one I didn't remember, because some of the ones from lesson 1 are review. So if there's one that I didn't remember, then I would spend the time and go and like deep dive into Pleco and try to visualize something to help me remember. So I was processing them that way, but I wasn't doing them as methodically as this. So I think having this list of input, do 3 of these a day, processing, consciously do 3 of these a day, not just when I come across one that I don't remember or that I haven't processed yet. So processing, think of processing like learning or sitting with the character or really playing with the character is what I want to say more. Then the third one of the 6 is review. And I've got 3 and 4. 3 and 4 are both reviews, actually. Oh, let's put those together. 3 and 4 are review. And I've broken it down. I did a video yesterday of review of the tracing. It's not really tracing because you're actually handwriting from scratch. So I'm number three is doing the review with the time-space repetition within Pleco of the characters of the words that I've already processed. So it's basically saying, how do you say this? Like it tells me the English, I think, is that what it's doing? Yeah. And then I have to start writing the word basically, and then there's a whole video on that. So go ahead and take a look at that. So there's that. And number 4 is actually the meaning practice, where I switch it over from me inputting that, and it actually shows me the character, and I have to remember the meaning, the opinion, and the tone. But it's mostly meaning practice for me, and then I'm hitting the sound button to actually hear the opinion and the tone to get used to the sounds of it. And I'll practice the sound by myself and then press the audio and compare usually how wrong I'm doing it until it comes out right. So there is pronunciation practice built into this. It's just not a huge focus, and I'm not having other people's input consciously right now for a few weeks. So that's 3 and 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 5 things, not 6. Sorry, we don't even need to do that. So that's 3 and 4. The 5th thing is usage, which is reading book practice, and that's actually reading the sentence in the lesson that I'm in. There's one full sentence in there in each lesson that I'm working on. There's also grammar exercises, but I don't consider that usage. I think that's more of processing, to be quite honest with you. And since I'm going to be doing that every time I touch the book anyway, I don't really feel like I need to write it down in the processing bit. So I think the trick for me is looking at my to-do lists. I don't know if you have this issue either, but that's part of my problem with doing things every day, is I have to remember to look at what I want to do. So I've pinned this at the top of my Keep. So as soon as I open Keep every day, boom, there it is. So I look at that list and I will remember to do that. But breaking it down in that way of input 3 every day, and I'm starting low like he suggested, just to get into the habit for a few weeks. And then if I find I have more time, I can up how many I do. So input 3 a day, no matter where I am inputting the words from the reading book into Pleco, I do 3 more every day. Just input them in, not even thinking about it. Then I do 3 where I sit with them, I play with them. I could easily see myself spending an hour even practicing the writing of them and stuff like that on a somewhere. I'll need to figure out where. Maybe in Pleco. Maybe there is a tracing practice area I can go into. So there's that, processing them, really sitting with them. I could spend like half an hour a day just on the processing bit, because that part's really fun. Playing with the characters themselves is actually my favorite part of this. And then reviewing the ones that I've already done, both in writing form, so I can write on my mobile phone eventually with these words that I'm learning, and not with handwriting, because I seriously doubt I'll ever really do that very much, other than my name, which is not even written in characters anyway. So yeah, that was pointless to say. Oh well, delete. And then reviewing the meaning practice. So that's input, processing, review, and then usage is by reading the sentence. I need to open this book every day, basically. The past 2 days I was kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say slackerish, because I really did hit studying hard for a few days before that, so I would say most days. You know what? I think I might actually put at the top of this list at least 5 days a week, because I think doing these 5 things 5 days a week, most days of the week, with the no guilt of not doing them twice a week, would be significant progress as time went on. So I just wanted to show you, I've got my new, I've never really had such a distinct processing list of new vocabulary. And actually there's grammar stuff in the review, sorry, not in the review, there's 4 pages per lesson. In the third and fourth page, there's actually grammar exercises, although they're not the type of grammar exercises that we're used to. Anyway, not the point. So there's accidental grammar, there's accidental pronunciation when I sit with the characters and process them. So it feels like a really good plan, and I've never really consciously broke down language learning in quite a way like this, and it appeals to the side of me that wants something to check off every day, that wants to know, I don't know if I'm doing, like if I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm doing enough, I don't know if I'm doing the right things, I don't know if this is going to help me that much. I feel like consciously doing these 5 things most days a week, 5 or 6, 5 days a week, I feel like I can actually move forward at a really comfortable pace. Because what I'm noticing is when I open the book a few days in a row and just even look at the little flashcards that they have at the bottom of the pages and just do a quick practice looking at these, I find that even when I do that frequently, it keeps them in my mind. I know it's not time-space repetition-esque, but it is reminding me what they mean, and the meaning, the more frequently I do it, the more I remember them. So yeah, I think 5 days a week of doing this conscious, just trickle a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. I could do these 5 just in 1 hour. I certainly did do more than this, more than 3 and 3 with the other practices the other day in less than an hour. But I think I want to spend more time consciously processing and looking more at the sentences. I'm very curious about sentence construction now that I'm learning words. I feel like it's a natural progression to want to put the words together. So I want a lot more input with full sentences, not just radicals, characters, words. I want more. I want more. Because for me, I need tons of input for a long time before I produce. And so if I start looking, well, I am starting to look at sentences now and if I do that for like another 4 months or 5 months, I think I'm 5 months in now, then I feel like by the time I hit a year of all of this, I feel like I might be able to produce sentences that have some meaning. So that's my new update. That's what I'm doing this week. And again, in a few weeks, I'll add some more conscious listening exercises. I got a whole bunch of podcasts and some YouTube channels, some recommendations for TV shows. So I've got a few things that I want to start listening to on a more daily basis, like wake up and turn on one of these things and hear the language in longer bits. But I feel like I want more sentences in my brain before I hear them in sentences. Does that make sense? Yeah. I want more visual input before I get the auditory input. And I don't normally break language down in such refined forms, but I do want more controlled practice with the language right now. Man, oh man. I don't know. I talked to somebody about HSK 6 at the conference last week. I don't even remember. And they were like, oh yeah, if you study full-time for a year, anybody should be able to get up to HSK 6. And then Kyle in one of the videos yesterday was talking about studying full-time. HSK 6 would be like 3 or 4 years. So there's a really huge range of what people consider reasonable to, and Kyle was talking about living in a place where you're using it. So it was the same context of the person that was living here that was talking about it. So there's a really big range in what people think is reasonable rate for people to progress in the Chinese language. And I just don't know. As long as I keep going, I honestly don't care. I mean, it'd be nice if I could understand what was happening in written form and later spoken form sooner than later, but it's been 45 years. I mean, I've never developed a second language, so when it happens, it will be a really good day. Really good day. Probably won't be a day. I probably won't even recognize when it starts to happen. I'll probably be too busy studying, and then months later, I'll be like, oh, that's when that started to kick in. Hopefully. All right. Thank you very much. This is my update. This is my plan. I will try to put it in the show calendar to update you again next week to tell you how it went. Thank you. 再见.